Thank you all for being here this morning. The first thing on our agenda is to approve the minutes for June 11, 2026. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Who's first?
Ms.
Brown.
Brown. Next thing on the agenda is going to be our.
Now you vote.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. All in favor to approve the minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next thing on the agenda is our safety report. General safety report by Mr. Carlos Chambers.
Good morning.
Morning.
June safety report reads as follows. Our safety report, days since the last recordable would be 133, I'm sorry. Days without lost time injury is 199. Recordable for the month of June was 0. For 2026 year-to-date injuries, only 1. June incident rate was 0, and the 2026 incident rate is 2.7, which is really good. The handout I gave out this month was think of the next person, and I really want us to start thinking about our actions and who it will harm and who consider others when we're doing our jobs. And I had a young lady that asked me down in the plant, said, so how is me doing something on the job as far as she works in the office area, the shop area? And I said, it's just like this mat here. If you walk by this mat and this mat is turning over and it's a trip hazard, think about the next person coming through. You've seen it, but the next person may not see it. So just turn it over. That's what, and that's where I want us to start doing more, just thinking about the next person, which you may be aware may not be distracted, but the next person may be distracted. So I'm just trying to get everybody, it's a team effort. It's a team effort. Your actions dictate how somebody else's outcome may be. So I just want the team to keep doing what we're doing and just think about others. And that was my report for this month.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
How was the gentleman that was involved in that accident over at Southland?
I'm gonna reflect that to Brett, because I think Brett reached out to him.
Okay.
So I've asked Eddie here just this morning, trying to get an update, and hadn't got a response back from him yet. But I know he did go in and have some surgery and all that to patch up those third-degree burns. That's what I was trying to find out, is if he was out of the hospital and what his recovery well-being was for currently. So yeah, as soon as I know something, we'll get something out.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Next thing on the agenda is the financial report from Ms. Williams.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
We're looking at our June financials. Electric revenue was $2.8 million. Water revenue was $275,000. Sewer was $310,000. Bringing our total service revenue for the year to 18.04. We'll move to our expenses. June expenses total was $2.5 million. Our total expenses for the year is now $21.4 million. We did have have other income total of $4.3 million, which brings our net profit to 1.01. Moving on to our financial ratios. June days cash on hand is 60 compared to previous month of 51. Fixed charge coverage is 1.48. Previous month was 0.96. Gross margin ratio was 37%. Previous month is 8. Operating margin ratio is 32.31. Previous month was 2.53. Current ratio is 27.39. Previous month was 27.91. And our debt service coverage ratio was 3.43. Previous month was 0.24. So in June, we did see a significant increase in our service revenue, so I was pretty happy about that. But Do you all have any questions?
So before you go, that directly reflects the billing issues that we had, and those bills are starting to come in, so the cash flow is in a better scenario,
Yeah,
correct?
okay, yes.
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 So in case, I do think Bob said something about this last meeting, that we had some billing issues and some of the bills didn't get out on the new system that we went to in March. And so some April bills didn't get out and some May bills didn't get out. And so we're seeing the catch up now of, that's what's being reflected, is that numbers got off a bit and it's starting to get back with the bills catching up.
So with those bills, and you're speaking of bills to the customers?
Yes,
Okay, so those customers that did not receive their bills, where their days, paid on time were decreased, eliminated, what are we doing about that?
they should have all been reinstated.
Okay,
Yes, if they had a history of being paid on time, we were not holding that against anybody.
because I've had some questions on that, where they had 100+ months that they paid on time, and were down to 0 because they missed that previous month, they did not get their bill.
Just get me who you're talking about, and we'll look it up and see. It may have been, something that got
So the
overlooked.
question comes
But yes,
up.
that should be,
Yeah.
that's how we're handling it.
Okay.
Is that if they had a previous record of bill on time and been paid, this did not affect that, if the bill didn't go out, so. Okay.
Good point.
Next thing we have our staff report by Mr. Field.
Yes.
That would be you.
So, yes, we've had quite a bit of change in the staffing report. We've done a bunch of interviewing and done some hiring here recently, so these numbers are definitely different. I'm gonna start with the electric department. I know they have 3 open positions, and I don't know where Jerry's at right now with getting those applicants in. I know we had some scheduled here very soon to get in and start interviewing for those 3 positions. In the electric department, there's gonna be a transfer into the water department. And there's already been a transfer out of meter into electric department. So try to follow me. We got some people internally transferring within the departments, and we have some new hires. The meter department still has 2 open positions. I know I signed for getting some of that out to start advertising for those positions. The water department has 3 new hires as of yesterday and still has 2 open positions. With what I said, one's transferring over, there's still 1 open position in the water department. It's just the transfers have not happened yet. In our utility plant, Miss Terry Coon is retiring at the end of this week, the 10th is gonna be her last day. And we're also having a swap here. Miss Danielle Brewer's taking that position as the plant manager of operations. The office, we're still, everybody else is still good. So we will have a change here with admin, and that Danielle's leaving, and we'll have to fill her position, and I think Bob's already working towards that with someone internal. So,
I have a question.
yes.
Our transfers, were they're transferring from the water department to the meter department, is that what you said?
No, one of them's coming from the electric department into the water department. There's actually a tree trimmer that's coming from, tree trimmer dragger that's coming over into the water department.
Okay.
And then one of the meter department employees went into that position on the tree trimmer.
Okay.
So it's meter went to electric, electric's coming to water. for one position in each one.
Thank you.
I know it's a bit confusing, but there's been a lot going on here.
I'm aware.
There's been a lot going on.
But it looks good in that the water department is, down 3 open positions.
Right.
That makes it look a little better.
Any other questions on the staff report?
Thank you. Next thing on our agenda is going to be our reliability report by Mr. Eric Harris.
Good morning. All right. Okay, so for the most recent rolling 12 months, our SAIDI minutes of outage averaged per customer was 143 minutes, not counting major events, 20.5. Katie, the amount of time it takes to respond to an outage was 201.52, not counting major events, 84.41. And our SAFE, the number of outages a person experiences per year was 0.71, not counting major events, 0.24. Without major events, so our day-to-day operation is pretty in line with what it has been, but I'm sure all of you have noticed the fairly sharp jump in our total numbers. And the explanation for that, if you go to the next slide, you can see that gigantic chunk that is lightning was one outage. On the 22nd of June, we had all of Owen substation go down because of a lightning strike on the C-phase of breaker 1. Due to the proximity to the substation and the strength of the strike, it knocked out the breaker protecting the actual transformer, so the entire substation went down. It damaged breaker 1 internally, so the C-phase was not able to open properly, and there was partial power anytime that the station was receiving power. And it also affected the switches on breaker 4. So when we later came back to try to re-energize the breakers that were not damaged, we had to leave breaker 4 unpowered because we couldn't switch it properly. At about, this happened at 9:10 in the morning. At about 10:30, we switched power over breaker 4, so it was powered by some circuits on other substations, because that is the circuit that has Southwood Casino, so that was our first priority. We attempted to to chain together some of the breakers to power circuit 1, but that's when we've discovered the partial connection on the C-phase, so we were forced to leave that disconnected. At about 1 o'clock, we repowered Entergy repowered their transformer, and we repowered circuit 2 and 3, and then at around 3 o'clock is when we got power back on breaker 1, because we did some more switching and put that on the other substation. We were able to find in our yard parts we could use in a spare breaker, so we were able to get the breaker 1 repaired, and we also switched out the switches in breaker 4. So at this point in time, Owens is back and operational. But that is just how significant and dramatic an entire substation outage is, even for just a few hours. In total, breaker 4 was out for an hour and a half. Breaker 2 and 3 were both out for about 4 hours, and breaker 1 was out for 6.
I have a question. So what does that look like as far as the residents being without power? Not the businesses, but the residents in that area.
It was 4 to 6 hours of outage time,
It was 4 to 6 hours of outage
depending
time.
on where you lived in the city.
How did we, I think we talked about that. How did we communicate that to the public?
What day was that?
The
22nd.
That week was that?
Monday.
It was a
2 weeks.
Monday.
That was a long time ago. I didn't know about the outage. I didn't get a notice about it, but Nick Coulter had posted on the city's page about it. So he told the city around like 9:30 or 10:30 that morning that we had an outage.
What are the steps normally? Because, you know, with you being the communications director, it's important that you get that information so that it can get out to the public. So what's the process for that?
I don't have a standard protocol to communicate with her while I'm trying.
So generally, she's reaching out to me, trying to find out what's going on.
Okay.
And
I'm reaching out to
and I
her.
was in the middle of all of this going on, and I did have some conversation with her probably 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, something like that, but it had already been out for a bit at that point. So sometimes in the middle of some of these things, we're still trying to assess and figure out what's going on, and the way Eric described it, the breaker being damaged, we had no idea that the breaker was damaged
Understood.
until
We tried to energize to it.
we were trying to get everybody back on. And we were going down through the station, getting 4-4 and Southland needed to be swapped out to another station because it had damage we could see. And we thought that was the only damage we had. We were waiting on Energy to clear everything to energize our station back up. And as we did, we prioritized going down through 4-3 would be the next breaker that needed priority, and that's because our water treatment system's on here at the plant. So we got it back up. Then we got 4-2 back up, which had some residents on it. 4-1 is generally the vast majority of it is commercial. We went to energize 4-1 and figured out we had a problem with that breaker being welded closed together. So we started backing up and having to take power back off to try to get that cleared up because we couldn't close or open the breaker or do anything with it. We needed to isolate it. So some power came on, it went back off, and we tried to isolate that breaker and ended up having to take the whole station back offline and start all over again. So it was something out of the ordinary that normal switching operations and the protocol that you address to try to get the power back on didn't work because we had that anomaly with the breaker being there welded. It just, they don't do that. And in my 36 years being here, I've never seen one do that. So it took a little longer. Trust me, we were sweating it trying to get power back on, and then we had to, plan B, we've got to go out here and try to spread this out to every other station in the city. And when you're at 90 degrees and you're kind of at capacity on your circuits, it takes a bit more than, we'll get into this here in a little bit, what happened the other night. You're in the daytime, it's 90 degrees, your usage is up. In the day, it's hot, there's more air conditioner load. Our circuits are kind of loaded up anyway, so we had to take the time to split things up to be able to handle it without creating more problems throughout the system. So we did a lot of other switching around before we finally got everybody up. And that's why I'm trying to explain to you. I'm in the middle of all this trying to help. We had people off on vacation, not here. And I'm in the middle of this, and so I didn't do a good job of communicating to her in her defense of what was going on.
Moving forward, what is or what will be the protocol to just put a disclaimer out to the residents saying we're aware of the problem? First of all, let's acknowledge that we know that there's an issue and we're working on it.
So
I don't think
I
that
can
we
address
had, I don't think that we had that initially.
I can address that. So we're already working towards getting that into standard practice. Right now, it's not because there's a lot of communication hurdles right now. And so with the communication hurdles not being solved and resolved yet, it's really difficult for me to do that because other people are making posts on our behalf and I'm having to address like how we handle the line of communication coming straight from us specifically. Then I also have some other hurdles with things that we have, systems that we have, but we're not able to use them yet because I'm not fully trained on them. So there's issues there that are already being resolved, and I'm hoping that by the end of the year that we will have the standard practice that I have already tried to create, but it's not existing yet. So I do apologize that it's not as effective as we would like it to be. I do my best to respond, but I can't necessarily be as proactive as I would like because I'm not fully equipped yet. And that's really just the long and short of it right now.
And
But we're doing the best that we can.
Another thing that's coming up here relatively soon is
A
the
lot of
CIS
changes.
system.
Mhm.
And that's,
That's August 31st.
yeah, I was trying to think, is it the middle of the month or the end of the
August
month? So,
31st.
yeah, within a month and a half, you should have this customer information system up, which is gonna provide a lot more information out to each and every individual customer and not
Yeah.
basically be relying on word of mouth or through,
Yeah.
social media kind of thing of what's going on. So we're excited to get that up and running and, whatever bugs show up with it, we'll
Work those out.
work them out and get that thing up because that will be direct contact with each and every customer.
I think it's
It
fair to
sounds
say
like-
that we got a lot of like ebb and flow right now that we
A whole
have to
lot.
sort through a lot because we're changing like 4 or 5 different systems at once that impact everybody, including our employees and our customers. And so with the training processes for all of that, there's a lot of stuff that might get dropped, unfortunately, because we cannot control everything to the T as much as we would like. I mean, I think we're all trying very hard right now, but we are, managing a lot of changes at once. And I think that that explains any holes that you might see. That's usually where it comes from, in my professional opinion, just from working with this and managing a lot of these systems. So it's tedious, and we're really trying to figure out all of the intricacies so that we can address every single problem. But this is one of the holes that I'm personally trying my best to overcome, and it should be resolved really soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you.
And this is our breakdown for the last 12 months. You can see lightning's a killer. Are there any more questions?
So before we leave that, let's go ahead. That started a whole catalyst of substation issues that have come up in the past 2 weeks. I mean, we're talking about from the 22nd of June until most recently this past Tuesday night, we've had 2 more substations have issues. Sunday morning after the 4th, despite our efforts of putting up wildlife protection in all these substations to try to, make them more reliable, those little furry guys that are red with a tail, the squirrels, the nemesis of the distribution electric system. One of them finds its way inside of Hudson substation and knocks out the bus work, and then, half of the station takes a whole transformer's load out with getting up there and finding the one place that they could, get energized and create a problem. So we had that this past Sunday morning, and I'm gonna say that probably was about an hour and a half kind of outage. Then most recently Tuesday night, sun been out all day, it's clear skies, nothing's going on, and the lights go out on the west side of town. Initially, mine went out and I thought, well, it was just isolated to maybe my circuit. And then as other people were responding and texting me, we figured out the whole station's out because we got no alarms, no anything, indication that the station was out because it was, so Energy has their stations there, and they have a bus that feeds over and feeds our station. And if something gets on that bus in between us, we don't get any alarms or anything. We just start getting outages, people calling saying that their power's out. Our breakers didn't operate, nothing of our control equipment gave us any indication that the whole station was out until they get out there, and it's like, yeah, the whole station's out. This is at 11 o'clock, Tuesday night. Now, again, we have wildlife protection up, evidently not enough. We need to put from end to end everything that's possible. Because something feathered at 11 o'clock at night, it could have been an owl, it could have been, an owl chasing something, or got up there, thought it was gonna sit and eat, or whatever happened. We found remnants of feathers, that's it, and it blew up 3 insulators inside the station, so we had to take that station offline, basically, and fix all of the stuff that's inside the station. It's kind of the same scenario. We had problems inside the station Tuesday night. Did all the switching, got everybody back on, and I think everyone should have been back on about 1 o'clock, somewhere around in there. But then they worked on through the night, getting everything replaced and back up to normal. And once we get the station back online, we can facilitate swapping things back to normal without disrupting anybody's power. And that's what we did up until about 5:36 o'clock in the morning. And then it was back to normal. So we've been hit pretty good here the past couple of weeks with substation stuff. It's like, uncle, we've had enough,
On that
Yes, sir.
one, was that on that bus line? Is it our responsibility to have critter protection on that, or is it?
So it's our side, it's our side. Yes, so, yeah. In looking the other night at what Energy has done to their side of the station, there is literally, Carlos, there's not an ounce of exposed anything there. And so that's the extent of what we're gonna have to, put more additional wildlife protection up, because despite our efforts, they're even finding ways to get around what we've done so far. It's not enough to distract them from being on the framework and trying to get over onto something that's energized in the station. We're just gonna have to protect everything that's in the station, which was kind of starting over again. And that's our next process, is we're gonna mirror what Energy did on their side, and every exposed part is gonna have to be covered up at once. The reliability portion, especially after getting this RP3 award, this is kicking us, with having 3 substation events this close together. This is kind of kicking us pretty good. So
It's a little warm.
moving forward, we're gonna have to expend more money for more wildlife protection and cover up inside the station to try to do everything we can to keep it from happening again. Just wanted to give y'all an update on, because it's been a lot here in the past 2 weeks. It's been a lot.
In terms of parts that we need inventory-wise, which is good in all these circumstances.
Yeah, well, the breaker that welded shut is an older breaker. I think the date on it was, 1970?
71.
Yeah. So we actually were just very fortunate that we had a spare breaker that was kind of there for parts, that these vacuum tubes inside the breaker, they fit. Because one of them was a Westinghouse and the other one was a GE. So, and they were different year models, and it was just great luck that the people that came out to inspect and work on the breaker said, yeah, you got some parts. So something else we're gonna have to look at upgrading, doing something with some more recent equipment, because finding some of this 1960s and 70s parts is gonna become increasingly harder to do. So,
Without that stroke of good luck, it looks even worse than it was.
yeah.
So that needs program.
Thank you.
No, I'm
He's got one more.
oh, you got one more?
No,
Yeah.
the next thing is the RDOT.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's gonna.
You gonna do that report?
All right. So here is the roadwork project that RDOT has already kind of gotten started working on in the area around 7th Street and 77, to the 7th Street, 77, Missouri, I-40, so everyone knows where we are. You know, everywhere in the yellow is what they're planning to put in. This kind of dash line is their new right-of-way where that's changing. This segment of Highway 77 is coming out. These sections of service road in here between the yellow is coming out. The railroad crossings. So the only way over the railroad without going all the way up to AFCO is this path they're putting in here. And to facilitate that, they are building up 40 feet of dirt here and a bridge to physically go over the railroad.
Yeah, I think maybe last meeting or meeting before, this kind of got brought up about RDOT. Don't know that anyone had really seen what they're doing. And we're definitely not trying to speak for RDOT's project. We're gonna show you what we've been working with and having to relocate, and this is kind of the simplest form of what's going on. So that 7th Street, 191, and Southland was where they began. And we had some relocation that needed to be done there, and then it's moved all around. Y'all seen the mounds of dirt that they're piling up on both sides of the railroad track. Most recently, we just got the electric lines relocated to where they can start across 77 and start building that up to facilitate the bridge trestle over the railroad track. So it's going to be a different traffic exchange for sure. But just we got some other pictures here and some other explaining of what our process has been and how we've been affected and what we've had to relocate and what we still have left to relocate. But just to show y'all an overall view of what this thing's going to look like.
Question, what is the completion date on this?
Says November 26th.
That's
what it says.
That's why I was asking,
Yeah.
what's the, maybe 28, because as soon as it gets built, they're gonna have to work on it. And then what's that gap right there at those trees, so we're gonna have to get off the road, go through the trees and get up to that?
Well, now that, so the landscape has changed quite a bit. So those trees and everything are no longer there.
Yeah, they tore up the trees and this,
Well, I know they
they're building
got
up
a big
dirt all the way
pile,
back to
you got a
there.
mountain of sand out there,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
now,
this is gonna go up
Yeah.
to that.
am I
To Mary.
right, if you're going north on Missouri, which is 77,
Uh-huh.
and you wanna go east on the expressway, you got to go up there to that topmost traffic circle and come back down.
That's correct.
Correct.
That's
That's what it
correct.
looks like. Yes, sir.
But without going all the way up to AFCO, that crossing there where it's going to be built up is the only way over the train tracks.
Hey, at least you won't have to wait on the trains.
I still want to have the concession to put a grandstand up there and charge people to watch the accident.
Watch the accidents. There'll be no accidents.
Yeah. People in West Memphis don't understand what yield means. Doing those traffic, this don't be fun.
It's kind of like coming from Memphis and they have that, they've changed everything. It took us a minute to get accustomed to that as well, but I'm sure by now, any of us that travel to Memphis often,
the accomplishment.
Yeah.
People could remember long ago, and most of y'all are too young. I think it was Union Avenue that they had to use to switch the lights and change lanes. Do you remember that?
That was an accident.
You go out in the morning and you got 3 lanes going this way and you come back in the afternoon, there's 3 going, when they switch those. Oh, that's what this is gonna be like.
We lived through that though. There you go.
All right, here is just to give you an idea of where our existing utilities were, and how they intersected everything. We have power along, 77 that needs to be moved to make way for their road. Power feeding actually RDOT's own, building and shop, on this property here. The fireworks stands, interstate lights. We also have water that's kind of in the middle of all of that. Power's not so big a concern over on 191, but there was sewer and water that is interacting with where they want to put their roundabout. So, next slide I can show where we plan to move everything and how we keep everything powered.
Eric, real quick, where the nursery used to be, is that where they're putting?
Are you talking about Tremendous?
Tremendous.
Yes.
Tremendous.
Yeah, Tremendous has been,
They're
is
gone.
gone.
They
Okay.
vacated the premises.
Okay.
GDC and Wellsco are still here, up here, but Tremendous is gone.
Yeah, if you need some idea of where you are, this is the auto shop, TDC, there's Wellsco, Tremendous was about right here.
Yeah, so they're fixing to start piling dirt in or on top of that.
For the bridge.
Their tracks.
Okay, so, over at the RDOT's property, to keep this fed, since this line across the railroad track is coming out, we put in a new line in between the county jail and Razorback Concrete here, and jail and Razorback Concrete. Water and power to feed down to here. Along 77 to keep power coming down to the fireworks stand and everything else.
Well, more importantly, it's still feeding the railroad
Yes.
crossing, the traffic lights. There's several things
Yes.
down there that,
Yeah.
it's very pertinent under traffic.
We have it coming down around the side, and you can actually see on this map a little bit of where they have the dirt built up. It's not shown here, but temporarily, we have power coming from here across the railroad track to continue feeding the signal. Once this road comes out, those signals are also coming out, so that will be coming down. But for now, it's up and it's keeping the railroad track running. And then,
Yes. So as you can see, before we had our sewer crossing over here, we're in 191.
It's gonna come back with a lot.
191.
So the sewer's in the green and the blue is the water.
This
Red is your
was
overhead.
our force main and our gravity line. Because we had to relocate our gravity line to get it out of the way, we had to bid this process out because they had to build manholes. Our original bid included doing some work on this water line as well as moving those, and it came out to a bid we got only one response, and it was about $1 million, which we had a cost estimate closer to $700,000 from our engineer. So we went back to the drawing board and took out this water line work and just worked on getting our sewer out of the way, since our water wasn't as important to get out of.
So
It
that
wasn't
is-
really needed to be moved, it was just, we were gonna move it so it'd be easier for future access. We have now moved, our force main has been moved over here. That was done last year. early before they got started on all this, it was done. And they got the new gravity over here completely out of the way. When we re-put this back out to bid, we got a low bid of $455,050. This is the bid that we accepted and contractors got to work. And when they finished working, they actually came out under at $430,050 because they didn't end up needing to do any of the dewatering that they expected to come into. So we actually came out under cost there. Due to where this original lines were located in relation to the RDOT's existing right-of-way, the work that was done here is going to be reimbursable at 78.4%. So once we get all that done, we'll be able to get some money back from RDOT on that process.
We had existing right of way
And easements.
that we were in, and so anytime you've got easements and they take that over, they have to reimburse you. If you're in their right of way, it's at your expense. If you utilize their right of way, it's at the city's expense to do the relocation. So we had easement up there in that area. They overtook it, so there's where the 78.4 comes in.
We had a couple of spots where we moved out of our easement and into their right of way, and that's why it's not a full reimbursement.
So where it cut across the road originally.
Yeah, the main part was where it crossed the road here, up until it got back out of the right of way back here. So due to that, we couldn't get a full reimbursement.
I have a question. Who was that, the contractors that actually did the work?
In SCORE, and they were very nice to work with. They were very, they responded to us very well, and they kept good communication. They actually were very okay with letting our GPS guy climb up around in their work so that he could get shots on this line as it was getting put in, so that we have accurate drawings of it. So they were very nice to work with. I believe they're located in Memphis, actually.
Eric, you go back to the RDOT location. Yes. Now, the headquarters of RDOT is moving over to 7th Street.
Yes.
There is still a shop on this property.
Yeah, they're gonna leave the motor pool there.
Yeah, they're keeping their maintenance shop open, and because they're keeping their maintenance shop open, we had to relocate a lot of our utility access to them. For example, our water line originally came across the road to feed them water, and since they're putting a roundabout right on top of their water, we can no longer feed 1 meter that then goes to the shop and to their building. So we had to relocate water coming down in line with their new electric line down between the jail and Razorback. And we did that all in-house. We moved that up to the fence, and then the rest of it was RDOT's job to get it to them, because that's where our meter is placed, and the rest of it is service line. That line.
Can you point to where the RDOT headquarters is going so that people see that new construction going on? I know what it is.
Yeah, this, you know where the hospital is over on 7th Street, and the little highway police is right here? They're in this area right south of the highway police. That's where they're putting their new building. Yes. So that water line down in between the county and Razorback was 100% reimbursable because it is their line that they cut themselves off from. So
It was, that cost estimate right here, it was estimated $10,924, and that's 100% reimbursable.
for the electric line.
I do you have an estimate for
I do. For the, we had a cost of estimate initially of $94,050 for that water line. But since all of the work was just a straight line that didn't require any precise elevations, that we had our water department actually put that line in themselves. So we've got it down to just we spent $15,309.17 on materials for that line. And they went out and put that in back in, I think it was December. It was when we were doing with all that ice and snow, so that took a little longer than we wanted to.
So you said that the bid was 94,000, but we did
No,
15,000?
we didn't put it out for bid. We had this all engineered design because some of it has to be submitted to the health department for work, and because we weren't sure what all we could do in-house and what all might need to be contracted out. So for safety's sake, we had an engineering company working on this and designing it for us. They provided us cost estimates for the different parts of the project. That AFCO line, their estimate was $94,000.
Okay, so not a bid, but a cost estimate.
Yes, the cost estimate.
What's up with that? How are they at 94,000, we did it for 15,000? I know it's not.
Part of it is labor cost, which I haven't provided because I don't have that worked up at this current time. And part of it is them mobilizing out here because we're right here.
Cost
We
for
don't
them.
have to. And then contractors need a profit. So.
Just bottom line.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah, it does seem to be a serious difference there. in what- So that's why we're trying not to bid out anything other than
as
what we have
much-
to.
As much as
And try to push, let's get this done in-house because we save a lot of money on that. The only things we're bidding out is when we have like a jack and bore or something on the roadway. They won't let us open cut it because of compaction, and you have to do a jack and bore. We don't have the machinery to do it, or the expertise to do that. And then if it gets over certain depths and like building some of these manholes.
Yeah, for example, with gravity lines, since it is entirely gravity fed, they have, the slope of the lines are very important, and since we are very flat in a lot of areas, those depths are very deep into the ground, and it's hard for our equipment and hard for our men to do with accuracy that we need it to be.
At this point in time, the utility relocation north of I-40 is done. So the map you're seeing is accurate to what is in our system. South of the interstate, work has not been done yet. We're still making sure all of our plans are how we need them to be and everything gets approved. The only work that really needs to be done is there's some water line that needs to move, and Walgreens parking lot, we can make sure it has power when we pull some of these poles out that aren't coming back because those traffic lights aren't going to come back. There's going to be a roundabout. Like,
I should probably let them know about the water and sewer on the north side. Can you switch back to the original page? As you can see, we had a water line going all the way down to Tremendous. And with Tremendous going away, we didn't need to feed them anymore. So what we ended up doing with the water is cutting it off back just after Wellsco and just feeding a new service to TDC, which, because most of their original meter is like located right here and got cut off by the new slope that's going to be built up for that road. So they have taken over this lot up here, and run a line right along the right of way to feed them a new service. So,
I'm gonna get back. You're going to sewer.
for sewer, as you can see, our line came around and came up to the road over here in the corner between 7th Street and 77, and then came into our lift station here, our pump station for our sewer with our force main. We had to relocate this to get it out of this new right of way. So what we did was just, yeah, that doesn't work on.
I'm gonna try to do that. While your finger is up there, I'm just gonna swap it with
Yeah, not quite long enough. So what we did was we straightened up right here, tied back, because we actually found that in that corner, part of our force main when it was originally put in was not put in our easement that we had already existing there. So we straightened back up into our easement and got a new easement here on the Taylors and came down into our lift station, as you can see.
that. We also did that work.
Yes, we did both that and the water over here in-house. So,
And the electric, all of the electric work that has been done is in-house. We're gonna have a contract to get it out.
that one took us like a day or two to get done, and then this force main all got done in one day because we had that station down and we wanted to get it done for the vet station, because we didn't need that station offline. So for the sewer portion of this project, which is this over here, it was 54% 54.69% reimbursable. We unfortunately were, as I said, part of our force main we found was outside of our easement and in their right of way when it got put in. So that's what caused us problems there. We did not have to move our gravity line that's on this side of the road because they're not overtaking any of that. So everything north of Wells Code didn't have to get touched on that side of the road. For a cost estimate of this work that we had for the water, it was originally provided or estimated by our by the engineering company as $90,520 approximately, and our sewer was $71,110. For the material for this entire project, we purchased the materials all in one go. So the material cost for both the force main and the water came out to just be $12,057.22.
That's not including the labor.
Yeah, that's not including labor.
Not really overtime or anything, that's just straight time for 3 days or a little bit overtime. All day. Just haven't figured that out yet. Who all was working on it, how many hours they actually did into it, but it was done relatively quickly. So you can see how much of a difference there is in having to bid something out with that cost projection, and then what we're able to do in-house. So it's important that we get everybody fully staffed, and we get, the right equipment here to be able to do things, because it's a savings, to the utilities.
Will you tell me again how the reimbursement works? If it's within the existing right-of-way, then we don't get reimbursed?
If our existing lines were inside their existing right-of-way before they change their right-of-way, it is up to us to move and we have to pay for it. If we had our own easement and we were outside of the right-of-way and they're overtaking us and forcing us to move, then we have to pay. Then they have to pay us. So, can you go back? You can see that flat section and see how it comes all the way up here. So there was actually an easement or a right of way that isn't shown on here that went right here. And right around this part, we started to get out. We started to get out of our easement and back toward, too close to the road, so we're inside their right of way that they had. And because of that, we can't get reimbursed for that in full that we moved.
Even though we only had to move it due to their project?
Yes.
So they forced us to have to move it
Mm-hmm.
because of the project,
Mhm.
and then they refused to reimburse us.
For the full thing, yes.
Okay, anything that starts in their right of way, if we have, there are agreements that are sometimes offered for prior rights. If they're establishing a right of way somewhere you already have stuff installed, sometimes they will agree that you have prior right to be there. In that case, they will charge you to move it, but if we're installing infrastructure in their right of way and then at some point in time later, they need us to move, it's at our own cost.
And that's why
Yeah,
we definitely don't ever want to try to use their right of way unless it's absolutely necessary.
and
There's not any more room, there's nothing else you can do other than utilize what they absorb in their right of way. Because that puts us at that risk of,
And-
if they want to change things, then we have to, at our cost, pay for it.
It's it's a similar story with the electric down Highway 77. We have a estimated cost for that project of almost $25,000. It was $24,994, and we were within the road's right of way, so that is 0% reimbursable.
And the difference between a typical difference between a right of way and an easement would be, put that in layman terms.
Well, I'm going to do a good job of this, but as long as it's state right of way, that right of way is just for the road. And if they allow you to get in there, so they have a 75 feet from center line right of way. And there's enough room for you to get in there. You can petition, apply to get in there right away, and they may allow you to do that. But with your easement, you're getting that from the property owner. It's deeded to you as an easement. The state has nothing to do with it, or anybody else. It's deeded to West Memphis Utilities for the purpose of utility easement. So when they come in and they lay their drawing down, and where their old right-of-way used to be now is overtaking you, that's where it falls in where they have to reimburse you for it. But if you were prior in theirs, they don't have to. It might become a constricted area or something where you've only got so far to go and they need you to move it. But you're going to be still within their new right-of-way they're taking, that they will possibly grant you a prior rights thing or something to let you do that. So,
But easement and right of way are most often two different things, or
I would say yes.
more often than not, they're
That
not the
right-of-way
same.
is more of a governmental, right-of-way things like we have road right-of-way here in the city, or city streets, city roads here in town. An easement, like I said, would be just the property owner
It's a
granting you
local
an easement,
determination.
granting you an easement, utility easement.
An easement, a lot of times is actually deeded.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's legal description
Right.
and it's deeded, gives you the right to utilize that property. Right away, if they have control over it, I guess they get deeds back. But say you got a 2-lane road, they may have a 75-foot from center line either way, where if they want to add 2 more lines, they don't have to dicker with anybody, they just come in and do it. Well, if we have a water or sewer line in that right of way and they decide to expand it, we've got to get our line
At our expense.
at our expense. Where if right next to that, we have a deeded easement and they're gonna pile dirt on top of it, we have to move it, but they pay us
Understood.
because we have that deeded easement.
Yeah, for example, we had to get easement over here for our movement of our gravity line. And we had to get new easement along this right away to move our force main.
That was prior rights.
Right, that was prior rights.
Because
We
the
were
property
trying.
owner, we had an existing easement there that, despite the fact whenever the contractor installed it back, whenever they installed it, got in and out of our easement that was deeded to us. And the property owner in that location,
I wouldn't.
they were not willing to give us another easement because they were still,
In litigation, I believe.
yeah, they still had litigation going on with the state about
Yes.
the right of way that they were already taking.
So in that instance, RDOT was willing to work with us and give us prior rights that if, so that our force main here is just within their right of way. If they want to widen that or move that in the future, we have a prior rights agreement with them that says they have to reimburse us for it.
And when there's an easement situation, that we're dealing with, that's when the property owner is compensated for granting an additional easement to the utility.
Most of the time, yes. Some property owners will, the amount changes based on the property owner. Some property owners I know have working relationships with the utilities and are willing to deed it for less than others. So we've got donations in some areas. For
Say the
example,
Hindaway there in that corner, for example.
yes.
For
And
the electric line, for example, we have easement running pretty much all along where the electric line is, and that was just donated to us by the Taylors, so we're just allowed to use that.
another one is on TDC, that entire water line is basically a service to them. So they were very happy, willing to donate.
That's a county's,
Yeah, Apco Road.
the easement we got extending from the jail down to the backside to relocate the electric and the water. So luckily we not had to pay for it.
A lot of times, property owners are very happy to have us come through and just take out big giant trees they don't want to deal with. That's part of it. Works out.
Now,
This,
you might notice this water line here, that's some existing irrigation work that's getting cut off. That is a proposed, if we need to reinstate irrigation back to them. At the moment, we aren't planning to do that. At the moment, we're just planning to cap off that line until we know what's actually going to happen later. But this, we have a water line that initially ran around this curve,
So back up to
that ran pretty much along the service road until it became a Murray Street. And right here, we're getting our water line cut off, so we're gonna have to relocate that. Go for it. So this is our current plan. We are looking to do some work, and we might have to change some of this, as our current plan is a lot closer to Chick-fil-A than I'm comfortable doing. So we're working with RDOT and our engineer to redesign this section, because there is, well, you can't see it on the map, they're putting in drainage around this right of way that is forcing us to not be able to leave our water line where it is up to about here, because it will be cutting us off. So we're having a redesign right there in front of Chick-fil-A.
I think what's pertinent here is that we basically completed everything on the north side.
Yes, all we have left is
Our
this.
obligations, we have a bit of an obligation still, that something that came up kind of last minute with, I say last minute, this has been talked about since April of '24. So when I say last minute, in the past month and a half, the feed for the interstate lights kind of came up, that it's being cut off, and so we're working on trying to do that on the north side, but basically everything else on the north side is completed, what we agreed to do, and we're out of their way to allow them to work on that. Now, when they're gonna get started on the south side of the interstate, they're acting like sooner than later, but there's still a lot of complex things going on there that I don't know they're gonna be able to jump on this. I mean, at some point, it seems to be you've got to finish something to be able to detour people. And I know they're working up there on Southland and 191 trying to get that done, but until that gets accomplished, I'll see if I can shut down some other areas. It's just gonna make it move around town.
Is Southland Drive, I call it North Loop, is that ours or is that RDOT?
So, my understanding is that it's ours, but for this project, you can almost see where they go back to the east there.
Right.
They took that over and incorporated it into the project to facilitate the roundabout, but I'm sure as soon as that's over with, they're gonna get that right back. Yeah.
I was just, wondering about the easements and.
Yeah, so we're
Right
gonna
away,
get, we're gonna
on
get
that.
into that, talking about this extension of the Southland water line, that, Kate, show right there where the water line's at, where we hooked on and began moving past this project.
Around here.
Yep. So
So we had to go,
we started laying pipe and hooking in, getting out of this project, and so we run out of that RDOT road right-of-way situation. Now we're in the city's road right-of-way and our easements, and so we kind of do what we need to do.
That's just,
Yeah.
because I can envision in the future that Southland, that's gonna become
Oh,
a
yeah.
major thing
Yeah.
when you got this interchange.
Yes.
Because instead of coming back down here to the expressway, and they're gonna have to put a roundabout down there where all the truck stops are.
Well, that'd be fun. It's a roundabout where the trucks
I
back.
don't see that happening.
so our current estimate for moving water on the south side is 264,550. Now, this is something that I have just been made aware of, is when this was proposed and agreed upon by RDOT, they were the ones who had to decide what our reimbursement percentages were. We provided them with what we had that was inside and outside the easement, and they decided based on that what our reimbursement percentages are. The reimbursement percentage for our water was that actually includes both this work and that work as we had proposed it down here. So it's, at the moment, it is 79.80% reimbursement for the water total on this portion of the project.
They're treating the whole project as a whole, where we've tried to piece it together and do portions of it. And I think what Kate's referring to is the initial agreement we did up there, that was 78.4 or whatever. It's not changed much because of the lack of easements in some of the places where the water was at. It was in the road right away. And if there's changes, we're gonna keep clawing and digging and trying to figure out how to get more out of it. But it'll just be a change order that they do to the original paperwork on their end. It will change it to either go up or it'll stay there and next thing. It's a lot. It is, but it's been going on since 24.
Any more questions?
Thank you. Next thing we have is our update on our South water main extension. If you still have a brain.
Right.
So you might have seen this at one point. This is the plan for the entire project that has been drawn up.
You need my pen?
No, I can reach for it here. This is that water line you had just seen zoomed in on over there on 7th Street in Southland. We started over here tying in and getting this work done up to here. Because of the work that RDOT has got doing there, we had to do a little bit of restructuring how that was getting put in. All of this is getting put in. Well, most of this line is being put in by our water department, except for a portion towards the end, which is a bore across Southland that y'all have already approved a bid for, that we had done a bid earlier and approved from W&T Contractors. That bid has been awarded, and we're currently in the process of finishing signing off some documents to get them out there working.
So there's that more.
Yes, right here.
And
That's a
again,
little
it's gonna require casing under the road and jack boring at a certain depth to put a casing in. That's something we just don't have the equipment.
Yeah,
to do.
Now that's crossing over to the kennels,
yeah,
Well,
there's,
you know, the kennels are not really,
right,
it's just where they were.
right.
They're there, some of them are still there,
But
but
that's just moving that line over to the north side of the
so
road.
Southland is on a radial feed right now with their water line. And kind of the whole purpose behind extending this main and tying in is to create a loop, which will help with the pressure, not only with Southland and the casino's height, the hotel, but everything on the north side, including Hopefield, everything out there. Will tying this in and having another pressure plane coming in will help with increase the PSI.
So that line runs down Mountain City Road, turn and come in there.
Yeah, right now it comes up to Southland and stops, and we're bringing in, you know, from the other direction and gonna tie it together. And it should help with some pressure issues. Not saying that we still don't need to be looking at having a serious plan here in place in the next, well, in a what am I trying to say, tank, above ground tank, yeah. Yeah, we've kind of already started that discussion.
Are we still talking with the city about water park plans? And is this going to have us where we need to be for that?
I think that's still in discussion. I'm not deep into that to know exactly where it's at the moment. I know it was considered to be talked about. Where it's at right now, I don't know if it's still go or what's going on.
But if that did happen, this would work for that project? And future expansion of Southland as well?
Well, now that's the future expansion thing, that's a whole different deal. That's, we've not seen really what the plans are.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that needs to be taken into consideration. What are they doing? There's no doubt that this is not solving all the problem on the north side of the interstate. It needs a tower, it needs wells up there. You know, we need another, some more capacity up there and that pressure plane in closer proximity to keep the pressure up. Further out you get, the lower your pressure comes down. So, you know, that's kind of the closest water tank is Martin to it, and that's basically feeding everything on the north side of the interstate.
You know, years ago, we discussed, years ago, the water tower out there across where Caterpillar used to be.
Yes, sir. That's right. I think we even have some property
Right.
laid aside for that. I don't know that any of the,
Because there was gonna be some big industrial developments out there, and that kind of fell south, so we didn't.
so when you start talking about putting a well in, there needs to be some study done about whether that location that I think the city already has a piece of property there, whether that's gonna facilitate doing that on that piece of property, or we need to look somewhere else. So we're very close into getting into those studies and start to look at that, because yes, this is gonna help with some pressure issues, and, yeah, but we do need to have a tank and more stuff. I'm sorry, Pete, I kind of got everybody on.
Our crews have been working on this. They had to take a temporary break on this to go finish, to go do the work on the RDOT project, because we had a timeline for that. Our last report was that they were 45% complete with putting in the line up to that bore point, which is about 20,280 feet of line laid. They should be getting back to work on that as soon as they're.
And this whole extension, is gonna be reimbursed on the grant, on the grant. So we also have a bit of a deadline to get that done for the funding of the grant. But we should be able to make that. So most of all this expense, this is gonna be reimbursed.
Got a quick update on the aerators at the treatment plant.
Last I checked, everything was up and online.
So they got all the parts in.
I don't
I
know
know,
that, I don't know that that's happening.
I think we were waiting on one thing, but other than that, I haven't heard any updates.
Well, I'd hate to spring that on you, but it's popped in his mind, and I don't ask.
Yeah, I know I haven't gotten the last payout from that because we're still waiting on a part, but I don't remember what part we were waiting. But the
Paul's
plant's
been
up
on
and running.
vacation, and I don't think he would be off if they were down there doing that, so I don't know that that's been done. I think that's something yet to come, that they're still trying to get the replacements. Yeah.
Our last meeting, when Paul was here, I'm just going through some of my minutes. Paul mentioned that the replacements have been ordered and that 2 had arrived and that we were waiting on one other. Yeah.
I didn't remember that the 2 had arrived, I thought we needed 3.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on this? Right?
Thank you for having me. I believe that's it.
Bunch of,
Um, Any questions, any comments?
do it, John.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Hey, Commissioner.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
No worries. I have,